After reading Tokyo Ghoul and Choujin X, I have come to one conclusion. Sui Ishida wants to destroy the world. A major component of both stories involves characters who cannot allow the current state of the world to exist and turn towards destruction. The status quo must be destroyed in order to be rebuilt again, but this is a process that comes at a cost. And between both works, Ishida makes sure we understand that. And in doing so, he created one of the best manga series out there, and if Choujin X keeps being so good, he might be going 2 for 2. But since I am years late to Tokyo Ghoul hype, I mostly wanted to gush about Tokyo Ghoul and Re, but also Choujin X while I'm here. Before we begin, I just want to say you should subscribe, and also, what the actual hell was Route A? Like, having now read the entire manga, I'm just baffled that that version of the story exists. But I also kind of want to rewatch it to see if I can glean anything like remotely interesting from it, or if it is just that bad. I also have the brain rot right now, so I might make a couple more videos on Tokyo Ghoul while it's still fresh in my mind and the joy of experiencing Peak is still coursing through my veins. Anyways, Kaneki Ken, what a beautiful character you are. The seed of destruction in Kaneki Ken comes with his inner destruction as Jason breaks him until he comes out the other side as a force to be reckoned with. His view of the world becomes a warp as he becomes the centipede that seeks to destroy society and the corruption that has killed so many ghouls. But that destruction is both inward and outward. His inner destruction is what consumes him in the latter part of Tokyo Ghoul as he becomes engulfed by the centipede and becomes pure destruction until Arima steps in to stop him. He wanted a world where ghouls could live in peace and tried to bear that burden on his own, but the path to do so cost him his sanity. He didn't want to kill, but he did under the guise of rebuilding the world. He embraced the dark, but wasn't ready for the destruction it would do to him. Having Heise exist in Re is such a good progression of Kaneki because it's an attempt at the literal destruction of himself and another attempt at rebirth. He tries to create a new version of himself, but you can rarely truly destroy something. Kaneki Ken always existed, and the struggle to keep him down in the earlier parts of Re is so fascinating, as Kaneki tries to be a new man but ultimately ends up as a bit of both people. Visually, we see this as the black and white of his hair blend together. He's ultimately Kaneki by the end, but the life he's led at Heise allowed him to build the foundations for the inevitable society where ghouls and humans can coexist in some capacity. His actions and his turn into the big centipede thing are a catalyst for society becoming better. The path towards progress was never going to be a destruction bearable by one man. Kaneki would never be able to bear the burden of it all, but with others who support him, there's hope for a brighter future. And the end of the series reinforces this, as Kaneki tells Rize that, in spite of it all, he'll keep going. All the pain and harm was a part of the journey, the human experience. We will hurt each other time and time again, but we can still work towards a brighter future for all. The series ending with It's a Beautiful Day is such a fitting end to the story of destruction and rebirth. There's also the idea of the one-eyed king, which is really just this whole theme made manifest. Kaneki takes up the mantle to try and make the world a place ghouls can exist in. Sen Takatsuki uses the mantle as a means to destroy the world in order to fix it. It's a symbol of hope for ghouls, but also one that is taken up to try and bear the burden of destruction. But even on a smaller level, Ishida is constantly destroying characters to make them into newer, better things. Takizawa's character arc throughout the story is another fantastic example of a character being destroyed, reborn, and he gets the luxury of being destroyed and reborn again. I love near the end of Tokyo Ghoul where all the characters have to write what is basically a will before they go into the big final raid. It's such a great character moment for every character involved. But Takizawa's is the one that stuck with me. This prim and proper letter being covered with a plain and simple, I don't want to die, is such a fantastic reflection of his character. He's just a normal guy, not one of the many forces of nature working to rid the world of ghouls. And the visceral shock I had seeing his new form in Re only made me love him even more. He couldn't even be granted death, he was reborn as a ghoul who has just completely lost the plot. What's even better is the final act of Re where he's given a chance to return to the right path through Mado and Amon. No one is ever beyond saving, and I love how the entirety of Re really works to tackle that theme and how all the chaos and destruction caused by the current society has ruined every character on both sides. The world needed to be destroyed and rebuilt to let the characters heal, to let them live normal lives. The problem isn't the people involved, it's the system. The scene with Mado and Hinami at the Ghoul Park paints this picture clear as day. Hinami is able to move beyond her hate for Mado, and this in turn forces Mado to reflect on her life. And since the system is so baked into the characters, Mado asks, who was I supposed to hate? She needs somewhere to point her emotions, but in reality, destruction or revenge was never going to solve anything. Coexistence was the only way to meaningfully move forward. The cycle of hate and destruction needed to end for healing to begin. And the characters that see the path forward are those who finally able to work towards that brighter future. Well, that and a big bug showed up that dwarfed that long-lasting animosity towards each other. The silly pride of both sides is nothing in face of a big-ass bug. Initially, I thought Tokyo Ghoul Re was just another version of the original manga because I was ignorant and I thought that Route A was so bad that they were like, we just gotta do it again, guys. I can't do this. But it's such a great tagline for a sequel series. Every aspect of Re is centralized on that notion of Re. It's a series of trying again, of redoing the path towards peace, but this time everyone learns from their mistakes and works towards carving a brighter future built on that failed destruction that's at the end of Tokyo Ghoul. You can't have life without death, just as you can't rebuild something unless it's destroyed. I said Sweet Ishido wants to destroy the world, but he wants to destroy it to show the reader that life is worth living because despite all the destruction, there's still beauty in this world. Every day we can wake up and no matter what perils await, we can gaze out into the universe and say, it's a beautiful day. Now on to Choujin X, which I obviously can't fully comment on the rebuilding part because the series isn't done yet. And while the story has placed more emphasis on the idea of fate versus free will, there's still destruction to be had. Batista is a good example of this as he destroys the world for his selfish reasons, but even just looking at his true self, you see a very destroyed man trying so hard to stay together. He wants to destroy the world and rebuild a new one in its wake. He's essentially a new, more traumatized Takatsuki from Tokyo Ghoul, but his twisted version is restoring it to the world to be one that he desires. It's not quite the same destruction as stitching together a world that suits him. He wants to sidestep the destruction and rewrite. By gaining the mark, he gains the ability to change the world to be stitched into one that is what he desires. It's more destruction and rebirth, but instead of taking the destruction and working together to reform it, Batista seeks to reconstruct it as if the problems were never there. He stitches it all together to create the rebirth he wants. He wants to redo. He wants his lover back. He wants his life back. Kaneki's destruction was meant to be good for all ghouls, while Batista just wants another shot at happiness. And honestly, I feel for him. He tried to find happiness in his life, but was taken advantage of at his weakest. But in line with Tokyo Ghoul, Sandex still believes in Batista and still wants to save him. Ishida may make his stories about destruction, but he is a hopeful writer who believes that people can be saved. Now at the time of writing, I don't know if it will be achieved, as I only read the chapters once we finish whole number of chapters, but I believe Ishida will work towards Batista being a character who wants to be saved. As I'm writing all of this, I realize that destruction and rebirth is really just tied into both stories on a fundamental level. Everywhere you look, you can see destruction and rebirth. In the ghouls and their powers, and in the quinxes, and how their cells go stronger through destruction and rebirth, in raises that are essentially just quasi-revives, which is inherently destruction and rebirth. Sweet Ishida is a writer who's constantly thinking about destruction, but not in a nihilistic way. He sees destruction as a natural part of life. We all destroy, but we all rebuild. I think of all the mistakes I've made in my life, the little things that were destroyed, but I'm here today because of that destruction and the many little rebirths I've had as I've emerged from the rubble. As much as life can be painful, I can still look outside and think the world is beautiful. I can feel the gentle night breeze blow through me and utter to myself, it's a beautiful day.